How do you buy property sight unseen with total confidence, and how do you identify a safe neighborhood from hundreds or thousands of miles away? Well, the best income properties are typically outside of your home state, but you don't want to get this wrong. By the end of this video, you'll see how this is your ultimate resource right here for all of this, reducing any danger for you. And I bought property sight unseen successfully this way for more than 10 years now. In fact, I was recently interviewed on television about just how I do this. So let's go behind the scenes and see how I do this all remotely. I am going to share it all here. Hi, I'm Keith Weinhold. This is GRE. Those that insist on seeing every property in person before they buy, that is about as perplexing as Young Gravy's music success. In fact, I have grown so accustomed to buying this way that even when I visit an area where I've already owned property for years, I usually don't even set up a time with my property manager to go look at them. So I've owned them for years, and yet I've still never seen them, and I'm not concerned about it. So let me be clear. I buy rental property, I hold on to it for cash flow, I sell it years later at a profit, tax-free, and I will just never see that property in person. Now, I mean, if you own stocks, well, you might not even know where the company is located, and you're probably not sitting in on the shareholder meetings either, but yet somehow people seem to react differently with real estate. So where does my faith come from? Here are all 7 of my favorite resources that make remote property buying easier than ever for you. And a lot of these resources are free too. And if I go ahead and cite a cost for a resource, that is a cost for a typical single family rental property, but fees really aren't much higher for duplexes, fourplexes, and apartments. Costs often total all these resources less than $1,000 for you to get deep property research on a property, even remotely, with how you can see inside the property, and just consider all of this part of your closing costs. So it's like cheap insurance. The first one is what I'll call a group of macro websites. Now, this is probably the most boring of the 7 resources that I've got for you. It gets more interesting soon, but it starts here. And these resources are both free and paid. These are my choices for examining a broader metro area's economic vibrancy and demographics, and that has a lot to do with your remote property's appreciation potential, and if you're renting it out, your ability for you to have a rent-paying tenant over the long term, how that's doing in the metro or the county that you're buying in. So I'm talking about things like gross regional product, job growth, population trends, and how much new home construction is occurring in a market. Some of these resources are GRE Marketplace, Altos Research, Atom Data Solutions, John Burns Real Estate Consulting, the U.S. Census, BLS.gov, and FRED. Now, FRED, that stands for Federal Reserve Economic Data. What they do is they aggregate a bunch of these boring-looking government websites into a pleasing and interactive format. FRED, and a lot of these resources, they have mobile apps too, of course. The second resource are what I'll call neighborhood websites and resources. So we're going more micro here. It costs $50 plus per month for neighborhoodscout.com, or free for crimegrade.org or bestneighborhood.org. And now here on the neighborhood level, you can learn about crime data, the quality of the school district that your property's in, and how walkable a neighborhood is. You've got to be careful here though. For example, some sites show that my neighborhood is the worst in the metro, even though it's above average. See, it's the other end of the neighborhood that brings down that average. The third of 7 resources is simply Google Street View. Everyone knows about this, but it's really valuable. It is free. I mean, this website is as mainstream as Ed Sheeran. You navigate real street images, and footage is often from the past year in urban areas, and footage is going to be older in rural areas. And understand that for profitable long-term rentals, a safe neighborhood, that's going to beat a beautiful neighborhood. Beautiful is not profitable for long-term rentals. Now, although everyone knows how to use Google Street View, what are some subtle signs of a safe neighborhood that you can identify just by browsing around Google Street View? Look for maintained structures, of course. Look for mowed lawns, lack of trash, and even the condition of parked cars. Yeah, the condition of parked cars can tell you a lot about neighborhood quality and safety. The fourth resource is We Go Look. It is fee-based. WeGoLook.com is such a cool resource. Imagine finding a trusted, independent, out-of-area professional, a human being, that will go check out a property for you, or a car, or a piece of equipment. That's how it works. So in your target neighborhood, you can have exterior or oftentimes interior photos taken, address verification, have a winterization check done, and more. You could even summon somebody, another human being that's contracted, to go look Saturday at midnight to check on the noise and check on the neighborhood vibe. So yeah, if you've ever wondered how you would ever really check on something intangible like noise remotely, this is how it's done. Now, really, I think it's going to be unlikely that you are going to get so suspicious about a remote purchase that you're going to have to resort to this. In fact, I've never used it. I just have friends that rave about it. The fifth resource is that property inspection. It costs $280 to $400. Don't skip it, even on new build property. So what an inspection does is it evaluates your property's condition before you even buy it. So once you and a property seller have agreed on your property's terms and purchase price, you can ask the property provider or the seller for an inspector recommendation. And if you don't trust your seller, then you can select this independent third-party inspector yourself. Yes, this is an impartial human being. The inspector walks through the home and checks everything from the roof to the foundation, including windows and doors and appliances and plumbing and electrical systems and a lot more. And that inspector is going to list any deficiency findings in a report. They're going to add photos to that, and they're going to email it to you. And those findings could be anything from a window that doesn't close or a railing that needs to be added to a porch for safety. And then next, you ask the seller to fix some or all of those for you before you buy the property. And there are always findings, like always. Even on a new construction property, there are inspector findings. That inspector always finds something. If they can't find anything, I think that they will put in the report to trim the bushes or something. I swear. They'll always find something, but this is good. This gives you leverage as a buyer. Hey, go ahead and put a YouTube like on this video if you like how I'm breaking it down for you. I'd really appreciate the like. The sixth of seven resources is the appraisal. It's going to cost $300 to $500. After your offer is accepted and you and the seller agreed on those inspection repairs, the appraisal is an estimate of the property's value. It is ordered by the lender, not you, like the inspection was, and essentially the appraisal checks the quality that the lender or the bank is lending against. Really, that's the purpose of a property appraisal. And it's also a tool to help see that you don't overpay. And you know, new buyers find it interesting that the appraiser, they actually know the amount of your accepted offer prior to conducting the in-person appraisal. If you're new to real estate, you may not have known that. They've already got that number. Seems kind of like cheating, doesn't it? No wonder many appraisals will come in exactly on value. If your contract sale price is $350,000, often the appraisal is exactly $350,000. So the appraiser considers neighborhood character, and they check sales prices of recent comparable homes in the area. They check the property's condition, of course, and its age. And now see, the appraisal, that can be another great tool for you, because look, if the appraised value is higher than what you've expected, well, then you've got instant equity in the property. And if the appraised value is lower than what you've expected, well, now you might have some leverage to negotiate a lower price with the seller. And here's an important point to understand. Your lender, your bank, they don't even care if you ever visit the property in person. Yeah, that bank, they know that it doesn't matter, even though they're lending you up to 80% of the property's value. See, that's how little seeing the property in person matters. And you have so many options and levels of other checks here at your disposal if you so choose. The seventh resource is you can do the real thing in person, make a site visit. Yeah, you can still visit the property yourself. The reputable providers at GRE Marketplace, they are receptive to hosting this. Nothing beats the real thing, maybe? Or with the convenience of today's remote tools, well, I guess they could very well beat the real thing. You can do a lot of this from home. You can check out the neighborhood and the property, hashtag IRL, in real life yourself if you do so choose after you've exhausted all of those other things. Now, every one of these 7 resources that I listed for you there, every one is optional. Optional research that you can do, except that an appraisal is required if you're getting a loan. Everything else there is optional, although I really recommend that independent third-party inspection. And you know, after all that, you got to remember, nothing in life or investing is completely 100% risk-free. But this due diligence here, that can help ensure that you're buying a solid property in a safe neighborhood, even if you are thousands of miles away. GRE Marketplace is the resource that my team and I put together for you to help connect you with cash-flowing income property providers where you can see properties with real addresses yourself. Oftentimes, they're going to be outside your home state. Since again, that's where the most profitable properties are. They tend to be in the Midwest and South. Over there, we even video interview property managers for you, and that's important because they are the ones that place your tenant in the property, collect your rent for you over time, and then send you that rent every month. So now that you know how to use these 7 resources to conduct any independent research and due diligence yourself, I encourage you to get started with that vehicle that's made more ordinary people wealthy than anything else: income property. That's the only way any of this is ever going to build your passive income and actually enhance your life. Connect with nationwide providers. See those properties. Start at gremarketplace.com. I'm Keith Weinhold. I'll see you in the next video and over at GRE Marketplace.